Hello, good morning. How are you? Alright, that's good to hear. Today, we're going to talk about the characteristics and process of research. Ano nga ba dapat yung mga characteristics ng isang research? Ano yung mga process na dapat nating sundin? Alright, let's find out. But before that, I want us to have a pre-test first. Please get your notebook and your pen and get ready for this. Sige, ready na ba? Alright, let's start. The directions goes this way. Read the statements carefully. Write the letter of the best answer in your notebook. Alright, ready? Number 1. What characteristic of research states that the researcher needs to avoid outdated topics? What characteristic of research states that the researcher needs to avoid outdated topics? A. Logical. B. Objectiveness. C. Relevance. And D. Timeliness. Your answer? Okay. Number 2. Which of the characteristics of research requires the researcher to be careful in making conclusions and recommendations so as not to mislead the readers rather? A. Critical. B. Empirical. C. Logical. And D. Systematic. I repeat, which of the characteristics of research requires the researcher to be careful in making conclusions and recommendations so as not to mislead the readers? A. Critical. B. Empirical. C. Logical. And D. Systematic. Your answer? Alright, number 3. In the research, The Struggles of COVID-19 Survivors, which characteristic of research is depicted? In the research, The Struggles of COVID-19 Survivors, which characteristic of research is depicted? A. Accuracy. B. Critical. C. Objectiveness. And D. Timeliness. Your answer? Number 4. What characteristic of research does the topic Portable Solar-Powered Weather Station illustrate? What characteristic of research does the topic Portable Solar-Powered Weather Station illustrate? A. Accuracy. B. Critical. C. Empirical. And D. Relevance. Your answer? Number 5. When you work on a study, this is the starting point of the research writing. When you work on a study, this is the starting point of the research writing. A. Collect data. B. Present the data. C. RRL. And D. Choose a general problem. Your answer? Alright, pens up. And then let's move on. Alright. A recap. Let us have a recap. Okay. Are you familiar with acronyms and acrostics? Okay, let's try this one. Okay. I want you to please make an acronym sa word na research. Okay. Write what you remember about research in your notebook. So, ano nga ba talaga si research, di ba? We had that before. Sige. R stands for what? E stands for what? S, and then E, and then A, and then R, and then C, and then H. So, dapat i-complete nyo lahat ng letters sa word na research. Tapos, dapat nakaangkop siya sa kung ano yung naalala nyo tungkol sa research. So everything will be about research. You write the acronym research and those words will all be related to research. Did you get it? Alright, sige, parang ganito siya. Ganyan. So lalagyan nyo ng R. Okay, let's say R is for relevant. Okay. Research is relevant in such a way that it helps people to know more about what is happening and what must be done. Okay, ganon. So, kayo na ang bahala sa E until sa H. Alright. Sige, I'm going to give you, let's have at least 3 minutes to work on that. Alright. Thank you for your participation. Sige. Next. Let's have dito na sa body, sa research characteristics. Alright. Number 1 characteristic. Ano nga ba kaya ang number 1 characteristic? Sige. We have empirical. Empirical dapat ang ating research. Remember, the researcher acquires empirical evidences. So, yung mga evidences na yon, lahat dapat facts. Data ng mga ginather mo, information, this must be generated through observation and experimentation. Yun yung sinasabi nating empirical. Bumase tayo sa experimentation at sa observation natin. But remember, there must be the keyword facts. So, pawang katotohanan lang dapat. Okay. Research is based on first-hand experience or observation by the researcher. So, tandaan ang qualitative, diba? Mostly, ito ay nakabase sa mga experiences. Remember the word experiences. Alright. So, yung mga experiences, o obserbahan mo, e-eksperimentuhan mo, at wag mong haluan ng mga kasinungalingan. So, dapat lahat facts lang. Alright. Yung mga data and information mo. So, did you get it? Empirical. Okay. Based sa observation, based sa experimentation. Okay, did you get it? Okay. Let's move on to the next characteristic. We have the characteristic logical. Okay. Research is based on valid procedures and principles. It is guided by the rules on logical reasoning. Okay. So, logical. Pag sinabing logical, again, based on facts. Okay. Dapat, mayroon tayong pagbabasihan na procedures and principles. Principles na dapat pawang facts lang lahat. Alright. Next, we have the third characteristic, which is cyclical. Okay. Ano bang sinasabing cyclical? From the word cycle. Research is cyclical because it originates with a question or a problem and ends with another problem. Okay. Tandaan ha, kapag gumawa ka ng research paper, ng study, dapat magsisimula ka sa problema, di ba? Problema muna yung isipin mo. Problema na nga ang research. Tapos iisipin mo pa yung problema. As in, pero yung problema na dapat masosolve mo, ganun yun. Okay. So, cycle. Start sa problem, mag-i-end sa problem. Okay. Ganon. Cyclical. Next, number 4 characteristic is analytical. So, research utilizes proven analytical procedures in gathering the data, whether historical, descriptive, and experimental and case study. So, analytical. Mag-a-analyze ka talaga. Magkakaroon ka ng deep analysis. So, kaya siya analytical. So, kahit anong klase ng gawin mong study, may it be historical or case, still, you must go on with the deep analysis of your paper. Dapat analytical siya. Magfa-follow ka ng procedure. Okay. Next, critical. Another characteristic is critical. Research exhibits careful and precise judgment. Research exhibits careful and precise judgment. Ganon siya ka-critical. So, dapat very careful tayo sa ating mga i-gather na information and at the same time, magiging careful tayo sa bawat hakbang natin, sa ating pag-judge, sa ating pag-analyze dun sa mga gathered data and information. Ganon siya ka-critical. Alright. Next. Methodical or systematic. Methodical or systematic. It follows a certain method or procedure in order to obtain objective results. So, yun nga, meron tayong susundin na method. May susundin tayong sistema, tamang sistema, sunod-sunod na sistema at method para ma-obtain natin yung ating objective. Okay. Another, we have replicability. Replicability. So, anong sinasabing replicability? The research design and procedures are replicated or repeated to enable the researcher to arrive at valid and conclusive results. So, paulit-ulit siya. So, hindi lang double check, triple check pa, para ma-come up natin yung valid na resulta talaga. Yung dapat na ma-achieve natin ng mga katotohanan facts. At saka yung solusyon. Alright. Replicable siya. Okay, next. We have accuracy. Accuracy. The research must give correct or accurate data, which the footnotes, notes, and bibliographical entries should honestly and appropriately documented or acknowledged. So, very accurate siya dapat. Scientific kasi, di ba? So, lahat, kaya nga tayo merong footnotes and bibliography. So, doon natin ilalagay lahat na ito, galing pala to sa ganito. Ito yung reference natin. Kinuha natin ito dito. So, dapat wala tayong dudoktorin. Honest lang tayo sa paglatag ng kung anong detalye ang pwede nating ibigay sa ating readers at sa iba pang mga researchers. So, dapat nag-acknowledge tayo. Ito, sinulat ito ni ganito. Ito, galing to sa librong ganito. Pinablish noong hindi kasi tayo pwede dapat mag-rely ngayon sa mga na-publish ng 2000 and below. So, although acceptable naman siya, pero mas mainam na dapat ang ating mga reference materials ay updated. Like 2000 and up siya na-publish. Alright? So, moving on, let's have objectiveness. The research must deal with facts, not with mere opinions arising from assumptions, generalizations, predictions, or conclusion. So, dapat, sabi ko nga, lagi, ibabase natin ang lahat sa katotohanan. So, although kailangan natin din naman ng opinion, pero remember, naka-anchor siya sa kung ano yung katotohanan, sa kung ano yung fact. Alright, next. Timeliness. Okay. The research must work on a topic that is fresh, new, and interesting to the present society. Ano ba yung mga napapanahong issue ngayon? So, meron tayong COVID-19. Aside from that, depression, di ba? Alright, poverty. So, marami talagang naka-anchor sa problema natin ngayon, which is the COVID-19. Yung pandemic na ito, maraming dulot na problema. So, marami tayong pwedeng gawing research study. Okay, kasi maraming napapanahong issue. Alright, next. Let's have the characteristic relevance. So, dapat relevant ang inyong paper, ang inyong study. Its topic must be instrumental in improving society or in solving problems affecting the lives of people in a community. So, dapat maging tulay siya. maging daan yung study mo para makatulong sa pagsagot ng problema ng ating bansa, ng community nyo, or ng sarili nyo, or ng kung sino pa man. Dapat relevant, kapaki-pakinabang, mahalaga. Alright? Another, let's have clarity. Research must succeed in expressing its central point or discoveries by using simple, direct, concise, and correct language. Alright, simple, wag nang artihan pa. Direct, wag nang paligoy-ligoy pa. Concise, let's make it short. Alright, and correct language. Okay, yung nararapat lang naman talaga. Wag tayong gumamit ng mga hindi maintindihan ng mga language. Alright? Tsaka dapat formal din naman dapat. Alright, next! Let's have originality. Dapat original yung study mo. The research output must be original and a product of novel ideas. Alright, if you want to work with your paper as a group, by pair or individually, ano pa man yan, dapat pag-isipan mo muna ng mainam. Hindi yung nag-search ka, ginaya mo lang, ganon, yung concept mo. Although pwede ka namang let's say, mag-isip ng parang kagaya ng kanya, pero huwag yung gayahin ng eksakto ng kagaya ng may mga research na nabasa nyo. Okay, original. Oo, wag yung sobrang copy-paste. Alright? Next! Let's move na sa process this time. To better understand the nature of research, examine the research process shown below. So, sige, tingnan nyo itong mga steps na to. Number 1 sa process. The researcher begins with selecting a general problem which is interesting and aligned with one's specialization. As what I have said before, magsisimula tayo sa ating general problem. Mag-focus tayo sa ating problem as we go on sa ating study. Dapat tandaan nyo, interesting din. Diba? Tsaka dapat naaayon sa iyong specialization. Like for mga STEM learners, so everything dapat related sa inyong strand para naman makarelate kayo at saka yung interest nyo na andoon. Did you get it? Alright. Sige. Let's move on to the next step sa process ng ating research. Reviewing related literature. So, as you review the related literature, maalalaman nyo, the researchers, to explore. Paano mag-explore further? Alright. Yung chosen problem natin, di ba? Yun ang i-explore nyo. Literature review can reveal what has been studied. Ano nga ba talaga yung pinag-aaralan mo? Depression among learners. So, yun yung iyong general problem. So, sa review of related literature mo, dun mo malalaman deeper. Okay, yung mga previous studies na na-conduct na, everything about depression, everything about those learners na nagkaroon ng depression. The researcher may also identify the research gap, the missing piece of a puzzle in a study. Kung may nabasa ka na before na study, which is about depression among learners, tapos ikaw, nag-conduct ka ng sarili mong study, pero sa different location, doon mo malalaman na, ay, dito pala, parang doon sa study na nabasa ko, parang ito yung kulang eh. Kailangan nito. So, kailangan ko itong i-push through. Kailangan ko itong i-go on. Kasi baka makatulong ito sa some other readers, sa some other researchers pa. Okay? Did you get the point? Alright, thank you. Sige, let's move on to step number 3 for the process. After a thorough literature review, tapos ka ng mag-literature review, the researcher is now ready to formulate a specific research problem, question, or hypothesis. Alright? Gagawa ka na ng question. Question na gusto mong masagot base doon sa problema mo. Alright? Magpo-formulate ka na. Okay? Dapat masagot yun, yung i-formulate mo na question. Okay. Next, step number 4, data gathering follows. Yun, mag-gather ka na ng mga important data, information, pawang facts lang ha. Researcher needs to make sure that the specific research problem and questions are the main focus of collecting data. Diba, meron ka nang nagawang mga questions. Remember, yung i-gather mong data, doon mo i-anchor sa mga questions and problems. Okay? Doon ka magpo-focus. Huwag kang mag-collect ng data, ng information, ng facts na labas doon sa problemang hinahanapan mo ng solusyon. Huwag kang hahanap ng information, huwag kang hahanap ng data kapag hindi naman siya related doon sa problem mo, sa question mo. Alright? Did you get the point? Sige. Next. Let's have step number 5. When the data are made available. Okay, yan dyan na. Marami ka ng mga data. These have to be carefully analyzed and presented. Yan. That's the time na magkakaroon ka na ng thorough analysis dun sa mga nag-gather mong information. Alright, sige. The researcher, for step number 6, must interpret the finding and formulates conclusion and recommendation. So, yan. After mo nang magkaroon ng thorough analysis, there will come a time na kailangan din na mag-formulate ka ng conclusion and recommendation mo. Siyempre, marami ka nang na-find out. So, makakapag-share ka na ng iyong mga recommendation after having all these conclusions. Sige. Okay. Now, let's have a break naman. Break pero gagawa ng activity. Sige, para mahasa. Sige. Okay. Accomplish the following tasks below. Write your answers in your notebook. Okay. Activity number 1, create your own acronym that will make you remember the characteristics of research. Alright. So, para madali nating matandaan, ano-ano nga ba yung mga characteristics na kailangan na magkaroon ng research mo? I mean, kailangan ma-obtain ng research mo. Kailangan meron ang research mo. Gawan mo siya ng acronym. Basta makikita doon sa acronym mo, lahat ng characteristics ha, nandun yung original, okay, nandun yung relevance, timeliness, lahat dapat. Okay, kung ilan yung nilatag ko kanina, dapat ganun din yung acronym. Number ng characteristics na makikita sa acronym nyo. Alright? Sige, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to work on that. Okay? Sige. Moving on. For the second activity, search for a sample research aligned to your specialization. Okay, sa mga UMS, dapat related sa UMS. Sa mga STEM learners, dapat sa STEM concerns lang din para hindi tayo mawala. Alright? Then, answer the following questions. Sige. Number 1 question. What is the research all about? Yung nahanap mong research study na research paper na related doon sa iyong specialization tungkol saan? Okay. Your answer? Sige. And then another. What are the processes used in the study? Okay. After checking thoroughly nung paper, studying the paper, ano-ano yung napansin yung process? Sumunod ba siya dun sa process na na-touch natin a while ago? Alright, sige. Third, which of the characteristics of research is evident in the research? Alin ang klaro doon sa characteristic na nakita mo? Original ba? Relevant ba? Timely ba? Alright, please jot it down. Okay? Sige. To wrap it up, I want you to summarize what have you learned. Place on the graphic organizer the research process to follow in conducting a study. So, gumawa kayo ng graphic organizer, mamili kayo ng graphic organizer, any graphic organizer that you like, tas doon nyo i-summarize lahat ng mga processes na dapat nating sundin as we do our research. Write your answer in your notebook. Okay. Sige. Your answer. Okay. Next. What are the characteristics of a good research? What are the characteristics of a good research? Dapat ano siya? Dapat anong meron siya? Okay. Sige. This time, let's have our post test. So you have your notebook and pen with you now, di ba? Okay, get ready for this post test. Directions. Read the statement carefully. Write the letter of the best answer in your notebook. Are you ready? Sige. Number 1. What research characteristic is observed when the researcher follows a step-by-step procedure in the conduct of the study? What research characteristic is observed when the researcher follows a step-by-step procedure? A. Accuracy. B. Logical. C. Methodical. And D. Replicability. Okay. Meron kayong clue dyan. Sige. Your answer? Moving on to number 2. Which of the characteristics of research states that all information and data are correct and honestly and appropriately documented and acknowledged? Alright. Which of the characteristics of research states that all information and data are correct and honestly and appropriately documented and acknowledged? A. Accuracy. B. Empirical. C. Methodical. And D. Objectiveness. Your answer? Number 3. Which of the research characteristics is depicted in the topic entitled The lived experiences of business owners during the COVID-19 pandemic? Which of the research characteristics is depicted in the topic entitled The lived experiences of business owners during the COVID-19 pandemic? A. Accuracy. B. Critical. C. Objectiveness. And D. Timeliness. Your answer? Number 4. What characteristic of research does the topic surviving COVID-19 through dexamethasone illustrate? What characteristic of research does the topic surviving COVID-19 through dexamethasone illustrate? A. Accuracy. B. Empirical. C. Critical. And D. Relevance. Your answer? Number 5. In conceptualizing the flow of the study, what takes place after the review of related literature? In conceptualizing the flow of the study, what takes place after the review of related literature? A. Collection of data. B. Presenting the data. C. Choosing a general problem. And D. Selecting a specific research problem. A. Collect data. B. Present the data. C. Choose a general problem. And D. Select a specific research problem. Okay? Your answer? Okay. Now, I hope that everybody was able to answer the post-test perfectly, correctly. Okay. This time, let's value what we have learned. Using the timeliness characteristic of research, how would you start your research in battling COVID-19? Using the timeliness characteristic of research, how would you start your research in battling COVID-19? Write your 5 to 10 sentence paragraph in your notebook. Okay. So, yun lamang for today. I hope that you were able to know and identify the characteristics and the process of research. So, sana makatulong ito sa inyo as you go on with your study. That's all for today. Bye. Thank you. God bless us all.